Hello, everyone. It's me, Kirsten, and this is the It's Giving Mystical podcast. And this is your podcast for the week ahead, the week of October 25th, 2024. We are coming to the end of this year, aren't we? How's everyone feeling? Want to remind you that the energy coming up for November is justice and the sun. And tell me if you don't agree that the world could use a little more balance and a little more joy right now. So hoping that those energies, that weather, that influence really feels itself in the world, that we really feel the rebalancing and the possibility for more joy that the sun card and the justice card bring to us anytime they show up. I want to dive right into the card that I pulled this week. I pulled the star card, and we had the star card just about a month ago, and we also had the star card for the entire month of September. And I don't know if you guys remember, but when I pulled the star card, it was the end of September, and the message was really loud and clear. The message was stay the course. Stay the course. Whatever you were shifting, whatever you were learning to approach in a new way, whatever revelation you had, whatever habit you were trying to rework or explore in a different way, or at least become curious about, whatever decision you had made, the energy that the star card gave you was stay the course. Like, stay the course, keep at your practice, whatever that looks like, and trust the world to meet you there, trust the world to co-create with you around the rightness of it. The energy of September was star energy, so whatever came up for you in September, and for many people it was processing events and situations that had occurred in August. So like August, the thing happened. September, you made new choices around how you were going to handle that thing, whatever that looked like. And the message that the tarot really wanted you to have very clearly at the end of the month was stay the course. Don't forget. Don't forget why you are making this shift, why you're making this change, why you need to handle this differently. It's important. Whatever it was important, and important for your soul. Like, important that your soul felt your attention with it. Like, the feeling is that something you had done or contributed to or participated in or responded to the world with was actually a type of self-harm. So it's hard to say that without it sounding like judgment, but it's that idea of like, when you know better, you do better. And there was some revelation in August, September, where you looked back and said, oh wow, I see how I respond in that situation, or respond to that thing, or respond to that person, or respond in that moment. And I don't want to do that anymore. Something about that is a kind of self-harm, or something about that is a kind of self-abandonment. And the star card came really clearly through at the end of September and said, stay the course. Like, don't forget. So it's very interesting to me that the star card is coming up again at the end of October as a reminder. To layer on top of that October energy was the Wheel of Fortune and the Moon. It's not clear. This was not a clear month. This was not a month where things moved in straight lines, or where it was obvious what was right or wrong, or what was black or white. It was a confusing time, a kind of a dream-like time. And so the star card coming in is a really beautiful message from our guides, and from, as you guys have heard me say, our masculine ancestors, saying, you're not wrong. Like, whatever you saw in August, early September, whatever new habits or decisions or movements you put in place, they are right. Like, it is correct. There's something about this sensation that maybe you've forgotten, or maybe you aren't sure why you made that choice, or something about this past month has taken you not off course per se, but like clouded the navigation, or like there's a fog on the horizon, you can't quite see the North Star anymore. And so when this card came up, I actually pulled it yesterday. I've been sitting on this card for a day, sitting with this card, meditating on this energy for the past 24 hours, just because I pulled it and it felt important, but it also felt like, just stay with this for a moment. And it really feels like, remind everyone that they put systems in place, they made decisions in September that were right for their soul, that were right for self-love, like a way of honoring the self more deeply, more fully. And that maybe October, there was learning and movement around that again was a little bit dreamlike, a little bit nonlinear. And there's something about, before we enter November, before we enter the space of rebalancing and joy, remember, like, you have to stay the course for your own sake. That you didn't make those decisions, or make those commitments to yourself, or make those choices, or make those adjustments without very good reason. And there was some way in which you were honoring yourself with those choices. And you have a lot of support around you that wants you to remember the rightness of that. So the star card, it's number 17 in the major arcana. It comes between the tower and the moon. So it comes between these two energies that are definitely nonlinear and can be quite disruptive and require us to make big choices. Like the tower dismantles things we thought would last forever. And the moon says to us, are you ready for this next step? It requires a leap. The moon card says to us, you can stay where you are, and that's fine. And sometimes we're kind of meant to sit in the comfort, to sit in the warm waters a little bit longer. But when the moon comes, it's a gateway, it's an invitation. It's saying, are you ready to take this next leap into the next iteration of yourself, into this next evolutionary movement? And it requires, it's truly a leap of faith. So the tower is dismantling things. The moon is asking you to take wild leaps in the dark towards your future, towards what may or may not be right. Like, it doesn't give you a golden coin outcome. It doesn't say to you, like, leap and here you'll get this. It says, are you ready? Do you feel the pressure? You must leap when the time comes. The star card comes between these two energies as a moment to gather yourself back together. The Japanese have a term ma, which means the space between notes in music. And that is said, we talked about this on the Tarot Mystery School call this week. It's a beautiful analogy for what the star card represents. It's a type of silence or softness or quiet between the notes. It's the thing, it's the absence, it's the resting, it's the integration that allows the movements, the notes, the sound, the healing to feel more colorful, more alive. It's the blank spaces between, right? It's like what allows something to be witnessed not as one huge blob, but as a distinct expression, as a distinct artistic movement, whether that's musical or whether that's on the page or whether that's pauses between words and language. There's something about the star that says honor the quiet moments, like honor the spaces between. Honor the spaces between, and not only honor them, but like bathe in them, like allow them to fill you as a way to help you appreciate what comes next. That energy feels very here with us. So it feels like the star card always comes in and says, rest, baby, rest, my sweet child. Like, it's okay to be quiet. It's okay to not move. It's okay not to rush to the next thing. It's okay to pause. It's okay to lean back. It's okay to go slow. And then on top of it, this overarching movement we've been making between August, September, and October is kind of saying, don't forget the anchors you set in place in September. Don't forget the promises you made to yourself. That's the language. That's it. That feels really right. Don't forget the promises you made to yourself. Don't forget the ways you were choosing to honor yourself above all things. Honor the divine, sacred truth of your heart. There's something about that came up in September, and it's like the universe doesn't want us leaving October without that reminder. So the universe is like, I know it's all been a fever dream. I know October is like its own kind of crazy walk across the Madlands. And yet, don't forget there's a promise and a commitment you made to yourself in September that needs to come with you that was right on the mark. Taking the star energy, really taking it as an invitation to reconnect with the promises you've made to yourself, to reconnect with your sense of your own value, to reconnect with the progress and process you've had over this past year. So we are coming to the end of this year. When you look back and you see where you started from, and you see the commitments you've made to yourself, and you see the learnings you've absorbed, and you see the old stories you've shed, like honoring that, taking time to really honor that. There's something about this transition into November that asks us to walk through it prepared, that asks us to really walk through it with our eyes wide open, prepared for what's next. And there's something about the star energy that's like, gather yourself, gather yourself. The other thing that really comes through is an invitation to notice as you move through this week where you're operating from this place of I should. And there's this really powerful, a cracking open of habits you have around what I should be doing, who I should be, how I should be showing up, and an invitation to fall more deeply, to sink more deeply into your authenticity and to trust it. That's the trick, right? It's like one thing to be like, oh yeah, I'm not going to do what I think I'm supposed to. I'm going to honor my authenticity. And then there's the actual feet on the road, the actual movement of honoring your authenticity. That is not easy. It requires a kind of courage and a kind of fortitude and a kind of trusting yourself over and over again. And that's why that language felt so powerful a few minutes ago. Don't forget the promises you've made to yourself. Girl, boy, friend, love. don't forget the promises you've made to yourself. And as you kind of gather yourself for this next movement into November, gather the fullness of you. Like, gather yourself back together with a sense of, I don't really need to do this the way that I'm supposed to. I'm allowed to kind of rest that, let that go, and begin to move in a way that feels more authentic and more real, like more aligned. Star card is the recognition that our rest has value, that our softness, that our pause, that our integration has value. And there's something about the imaging of this card that says when you rest, when you soften, when you let the earth and you let your ancestors hold you, that there's a type of infinity loop that you feed the earth with, that you feed the energy with, that it not only comes back to you, but it comes back to the wider world. We so underestimate our presence and the force for good that our presence can be in the world. Many of us are running around ungrounded. And like me too, I have my moments. I work really hard at it, but I have my moments too, where we're just lost in the daily life. Actually, I'm about to start a class with Kim Krantz, who's the author of the Wild Unknown decks, and I'm super excited about it. It's a class on creativity and mysticism, and it really aligns with what I'm interested in and what I'm doing right now with my own work. But she had us read a Mary Oliver poem called, I think, On Power and Time. And it talks about, if you're not familiar with it, I highly recommend it. It's so beautiful. But if you are familiar with it, it talks about these like three people. Like, it talks about the child within us, and it talks about this like timekeeper within us, and then it talks about the kind of the artist or the seeker within us. And it really does speak to just even the sense of mindfulness, of like Buddhist mindfulness, of we really can get so lost in the keeping track of time and like the daily movements in the mundane aspects of our life, and we can begin to kind of run those on a little bit of a treadmill. And the artist in us operates in a different time. And I just would encourage you this week to reconnect with the part of you that operates outside of time and isn't beholden to what you're supposed to do next, how it's supposed to look, what's supposed to get done. I really encourage you to trust the power of your presence, the power of your integrity, to say this needs to happen next. And that's very different than kind of being beholden to the clock. Gay Hendricks, my guy, would talk about it moving from Newtonian time to quantum time. It's a similar concept. And just there's the thought, right? The many worlds theory, that everything is constantly splitting off into another universe. And that's when people talk about like quantum jumping or timeline jumping. You can go on TikTok or the Googles, and you can find so much information about that. But it's the same idea. Everything is happening at once. There is no such thing as linear time. It's all happening at once. And so the invitation, this threshold feels like, are you ready to kind of live this in a different way? Are you ready to really be more present, kind of stand up and face the life that you're yearning for, the life that you really dream of creating? I hope that made sense. This is one of those podcasts where as I finish talking, I kind of like open my eyes and I'm like, what did I just say? I hope that was helpful. And I offer you that the star card always invites in your replenishment. It always invites you to take a moment to catch your breath, catch yourself. And as I keep saying to you, it's really saying, remember the promises you've kept to yourself over this past cycle, these past months. And just notice, like, there's a reason why you made those promises. You did not make those in the dark. You made those in the light of day. And there's a reason why they're worth keeping and worth honoring. There's something they're trying to call towards you that you need to stay in the alignment and the groundedness of your truth to receive, to be able to encounter. Star card is so loving and such an invitation to quiet. And I hope that you feel that this week. I hope that you can honor that this week. And I hope that it brings you, the sun is the energy we talk about, kind of the bright warmth of the sun. But there is something about the star card that is offering you illumination this week. May you see with clear eyes. May you grab life kind of by with both hands and engage fully with life from a place of, I deserve this. Like, I deserve to be here, like all the way here. And I'm willing to make movements and make choices and make decisions that honor the truth of that. All right, kiddos, please, share this if it's helpful, if it gives you any nourishment or good stuff that you need to take with you, and you know people that you love that might also need some of that grounding and some of that nourishment, please do share it with them. Please like and subscribe and comment and do all the good things that help us keep this momentum, keep this kind of expanding community. And just know that my heart is here with you. And the star is here with you, and your male ancestors and guides and angels are so here with you. And you can trust them to set the stage of what's next. Think about that. Do you do it? Do you trust them? You can stay where you are. You can take care of yourself, and you can trust them to set the path in front of you. You might be surprised at the stage they set. You might be surprised at where that path will lead you. I can promise you from experience, it tends to lead you to very beautiful things. All right, so much love, and may you feel safe and loved and held and calm this week ahead. Take care. Bye.